agreed to do Disneycember, Brother Bear was one of the films I was looking the least forward to reviewing. Okay, not the least, but we'll get to that one later. I remember seeing the trailers for it and just looking incredibly uninterested, and yeah, I guess everybody else did because the film apparently didn't do very well. Well, I sat down, I watched it, and I have to say, at first, I was friggin' blown away by it. The people were likable, and the myths were likable. All I was saying to myself was, holy smokes, this is what Pocahontas should have been. I was getting invested in these characters. I was getting invested in what happened to them. One character passes away very early on, and you know what? I was really sort of torn up about it. The music was nice, the animation was nice, I was totally digging it. And then our main character turns into a bear. This is where it all goes downhill. Okay, let me clarify. I have no problem with the main character turning into a bear to learn a lesson. In fact, I was actually against it when I heard about it, but seeing where they were going with everything, I was actually pretty excited now. They handled everything else so well, I wanted to see what they were gonna do with this. What they do with it is about as predictable and boring and lame as you can imagine. You see, the spirit of the mountain, or something like that, takes the body of a young man who's looking for revenge on a bear and actually turns him into a bear. Well, he of course wants to turn back to human and comes across some colorful characters along the way. One of them is a little cub named Coda. He hangs around him for a bit because apparently he got separated from his mother. Well, gee, I wonder what happened to the mother. I won't give anything away, but let's just say something happened to the mother. And you'll be really dumbfounded that throughout this entire film, the main character never figures out what happened to the mother. And throughout the whole film, the bear is trying to get to the top of the mountain to figure out how to change himself back. All the while, his human brother is trying to track down and kill the bear because he wants vengeance too. So in a clever bit of writing, there's no real villain, there's just a great big misunderstanding. The brother wants to kill the bear for a reason we can all understand. He wants revenge for his brother. And while of course we see it's misled, we can sense the passion and the love that he had for his brother, hence why he's going to such violent needs. In fact, this whole story turned out to be a pretty good setup. It had a good beginning and it had a good ending. But like I said, the middle is where the problem comes from. When the animals have to talk, it's pretty annoying. The language the humans had for the most part is pretty timeless, but here, the animals say stuff like dude, and I spy, and they pinky swear, and do all sorts of other modern things that people do. And I'm sorry, that's really distracting. And on top of that, it doesn't make us connect as well to the characters. What you were doing before was great. We were connecting with the people because we were connecting with their culture, and their passion, and their beliefs, and their myths.
If I was driving, this never would have happened, eh?
Just stop
You never
it.
let me drive. You can't believe you totaled a mammoth.
That kind of takes us out of the magic. The kid he has to look after is really annoying. Again, you have to be really careful with a little boy who's trying to act tough because that can either turn out really annoying or really charming. This is really annoying. Surprisingly, at first, I was really getting into the music. Yeah, I thought it was sounding really nice. I saw that Phil Collins was attached to this and I dreaded it, but when I was hearing that opening music, you know what? I was really into it. But then... you just couldn't stay out of it, could you, Phil? Okay, well, maybe it'll just be like Tarzan, where he's kind of annoying, but he's not actually ruining anything. Oh, wow.
Anything within my power.
The bear is telling the cub what happened to the mother, and Phil Collins is singing over it.
I don't like this story.
You trusted me.
Oh, you, Phil Collins, you. Or the person who put the song here, or the person who had the idea to put a song here, or write a song about it, somebody. This is the worst placement for a song ever. Guys, why couldn't you just go with a musical score here? I mean, really? You need Phil Collins to come in and sing? It's sad. This part is sad. You're supposed to cry right now. The bear is sad. Oh, look, he's really torn up. I'm not gonna let the scene just play. I'm gonna tell you how to feel. Oh, I'm Phil Collins. I'm you. So yeah, the obvious plot that anybody can figure out, the modern talk, the Phil Collins songs, you'd really think I hate this movie. And, well, yeah, I do really hate parts of it, but those other parts are so good! I mean, talk about being so close and yet so far. Well, again, morally, I guess nothing bad is being said, and I guess it could be worse. I mean, they don't quote any movies or anything like that, at least not that I remember. But... oh, it was so close! You almost had this really perfect, wonderful Disney movie and oh, Phil Collins, modern talk, pinky swear, oh, it frustrates me. But on the other hand, I guess I really didn't expect anything to come out of this movie, and to have the good parts that did come out of it, I guess that was pretty cool. And you know what? It is nice to see that Disney can still get some culture in their animated films. Now, whether or not the culture is correct, I don't know, because I myself am uncultured. But even if it's not, it still makes for interesting myth and interesting stories. So yeah, I love the beginning, I love the ending, the middle can suck it. Yeah, I realize this review is kind of all over the place, but that's really what I thought about it. Would I see it again? Probably not, but I guess I am glad that I did in fact see it once. Hopefully you can take what I said and also sort of look at the trailer and see if this is something that'd be up your alley. Well, either way, take a look at it and see for yourself. Alright, let's get this over with. Home on the Range! Yes, okay, out of all the Disney films I was gonna see for Disneycember, this is the one I wanted to see the least. And let me tell you folks, it didn't disappoint. It gave me exactly what I thought I was going to get. Oh God, do I hate this film. This is right up there with the Aristocats. Just no creativity, no spontaneity, no passion, no effort, just pure phoned-in-ness. I'll tell you the story because, really, you can figure out pretty quickly if you'll like this film or not. Roseanne is a cow. Well, I'd press stop after that fact, but let's keep going. She's just been sold to a farm with other cows, and everything is happy and chipper. They dance, they smile, yeah. But then they find out that the farm is being closed down. So the cows figure that if they bring this bandit to justice and get the reward money, they can use that to save the farm. And that's it. The rest is cows going after an evil villain. It's about as half as you can imagine. Okay, now let me make one thing clear. When I say half, I mean half for Disney. I know animation is hard. I know that by most normal standards, this is still pretty good animation. And I know that by most bad films and even bad children's films considered, this isn't that horrendous. But if somebody told you that this was from the greatest animation company in the entire world, admit it, you'd be a little cheesed off too. You would want to see more effort from something that's so massive and so large. And this is a movie that's obviously just geared towards little kids. I mean really little kids, toddlers. The jokes aren't for adults, the writing isn't for adults, the characters aren't for adults, even the animation style isn't really for adults. And again, that was the magic with Disney. They hit both. They could hit both the kids and the adults, but here, no, it's just for kids. The only thing I remember remotely laughing at was Jennifer Tilly as this one cow, and to be honest, it's Jennifer Tilly. She's always funny. Aside from that, I remember so little. The songs are forgettable, the characters are forgettable. The obnoxiousness of how bright and colorful and smiley it is, just, oh! It's like something out of Barney the Dinosaur or something. It just doesn't seem like Disney. Or maybe it does, but not updated Disney, not current Disney. Not the Disney that kept us coming back, wanting more. Not the passion, not the drive. Ugh, I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just bad. With a lot of these Disney films I was forced to watch this month, I came across a few surprises. Sadly, there was no surprise with this one at all. Unless you're only a few years old or younger, I say this is a definite skip.
Cowboy, you're really up the creek.
Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit with this one, as a lot of people do sort of consider this as an animated Disney flick. Well, okay, and maybe not consider it, but it's a satire of a Disney animated flick. Done by Disney Animation, so it's kind of hard not to talk about it. Enchanted starts off in a faraway land, an animated faraway land. There's a handsome prince, he has an evil mother, and he wants to marry a beautiful peasant. But the mother doesn't want them to marry and so banishes her to another kingdom. That is to say, our kingdom. The real world! Yes, isn't that gimmicky? She comes across a father and daughter in New York City who take pity on her and decide to take her in. She acts the way most of the leading females act from Disney animated films, or, well, more of the early ones. And it turns out she manages to bring a little magic into their lives. But then other people start to show up, including the dashing prince and the evil mother. The dashing prince, of course, is all smiles and heroics, while the mother is all evil and sorcery. And while spending time in the quote-unquote real world, they find that some of the ways they've been acting in their cartoony world doesn't seem very logical. For example, the peasant decides to ask the prince to go out on a date. They also discover that the stationary roles that they're so used to staying in don't have to be there all the time. A woman can be strong, a man can be weak, and so on and so forth. Okay, well you get the gist of it, so how's the movie? Well, it does have some good laughs in it, especially just from the performances. The peasant and the prince are especially funny. I mean, they just crack me up whenever they're on screen. And I do like the fact that as much as our world tries to force reality on them, their world can force their magic onto us. Like sometimes they'll break into song sequences, animals will suddenly be cleaning up, all that good stuff. I guess what bothers me a little bit is the fact that it is a Disney film. And that really, what they're satirizing is more over the top than they give it credit for. I mean, number one, the films they're satirizing really are the films like Snow White and Cinderella. The more modern fairy tales don't quite go as this goofy. That is except for this one line, and this does make me laugh.
And you are?
Giselle.
Oh, Giselle! We shall be married in the morning.
That is spot on. But aside from that, the whole idea that the princesses always have to be damsels and that the princes always have to save the day, I don't know, it seems like with Beauty and the Beast and Mulan and Aladdin and stuff, they've mixed it up a bit. I mean, okay, it's not perfect and they do sometimes go back into those roles, but I think even Disney knows that they've come further than this movie is giving them credit for. On top of that, it works when they're playing it up for laughs, but the last third where Susan Sarandon is quoting every obvious stereotype, man, does that get annoying.
This is a twist on our story. It's the brave little princess. I guess that makes you the damsel in distress. We're coming to the end of our story now. And they all lived happily ever after. It's time to take our tale to new heights. Just dying to know how it ends.
Yes, we get it. Things are switched around. Ooh. See, in my opinion, when you really want change to happen, you just sort of do it. You don't draw a ton of attention to it. I guess I'm very much a by-example person that way. Here, when you draw too much attention to it, it sort of feels like you're focusing on a stereotype that you may or may not have known existed. Like maybe you had a girl who was a tomboy and wasn't into princesses, and then you find out, oh, you were supposed to be this way, but now we're telling you it's okay. Or how about a boy who wasn't into fighting and rescues, but then you find out, oh no, this is what you're supposed to be. Except now we've given you permission not to be. Then again, maybe by drawing more attention to it, they feel like they're slapping the issue in the face, but I don't know, isn't the female lead holding a sword not really that shocking anymore? Isn't the fact that a guy has to be rescued once in a while not so risque? I wouldn't dwell on it so much except for the fact that the movie dwells on it so much! But let's be honest, what Enchanted really wanted to be was a romantic comedy. For kids, but mostly for adults. So in a sense, they overplayed the childish stereotypes because, well, it'll get a bigger laugh out of the adults, because that's what they remember growing up with, Snow White, Cinderella, and so forth. I guess I just get a little nervous thinking that this could possibly be a kid's first Disney movie, when obviously it's satirizing Disney movies, and even then, not phenomenally well. I mean, it's funny, but more for the characters they create, not for the ones they're satirizing. So kind of a mixed bag, but I find I do enjoy it. And when we get down to it, I guess it is harmless enough. But what would this mean for Disney? Would this mean that the 2D animation studio is back after such a long and horrible hiatus? Well, we'll find out in the next film.